Welcome girls and boys to our video today, and today I'm going to talk about the volume of rectangular prisms with fractional length. So I have 4 different sections that we're going to go over. So I'm just going to have one example of each, quickly go through them here. So for our volume with fractional length, so let's start with this. And in this question I'm asking for how many cubes with a side length of 1/4 centimeters does it take to fill the prism. Now what I would do in this example is I would convert to see how many cubes I could fit for each dimension. So for example, if it's 1/4 centimeter cube, if it's 1 centimeter, that means I can fit 4 cubes on that section. And I could get that answer by doing 1 divided by 1/4. Okay, 7/4 is pretty easy since the denominators are the same. I would do 7/4 divided by 1/4, which would mean 7 cubes. And then the bottom, 2 centimeters, I would do 2 divided by 1/4, which would be 8 cubes. So I'm just going to convert those to how many cubes fit. Now I'm going to use my formula of volume equals length times width times height. And I do volume equals 8 times 7 times 4. And when I multiply that, I get volume equals 224. And my unit is not centimeters anymore. I've converted them. It's cubes. So I could get 224 cubes in that rectangular prism right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next part. Now let's talk about volume by multiplying the area of a base times the height. So the area of a base times the height, I want to know what the volume of this rectangular prism is. Now, instead of doing length times width times height, because I don't know the length times width times height, I have to use a different formula. And that formula is going to be volume equals area of the base times the height. Notice that it's an uppercase b instead of a lowercase b. There is a difference between uppercase and lowercase letters. In this case, the uppercase b stands for area of the base versus a lowercase b, which stands for the length of a base. Okay, what's shaded in there is my area of my base, and that's 7 1/3 units squared, and the squared lets you know that it is an area, not a length. So all I have to do is multiply those, so volume equals 7 1/3 times 2. I am working with fractions. So when I multiply 7 1/3 times 2, I'm going to end up with 14 2/3. And then my label is units, and it's volume, so it's cubed. Units cubed. That's going to be my answer. Okay. All right, that's my volume by multiplying the area of a base times the height. So go ahead and make sure you understand that. If you need to pause, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to be moving on to our next example. In our next example, we're going to be working volume with fractions. So I'm just going to give you a problem. We have fractions in there. So this is just the volume of a rectangular prism. So I'm just going to do volume equals length times width times height. And then I'm going to substitute my numbers in there. So volume equals 1/2 times 4 times 5/2. I'm going to convert 4 to 4/1 so that I'm multiplying fractions. All you have to do is multiply the numerators. 1 times 4 times 5 is 20. The denominators, 2 times 1 times 2 is 4. And then I simplify that. So 20 divided by 4 is 5. Yes, there's other ways that you could do that by doing some cross-canceling in there. And if you want to do that, that would be fine. Or you could do it this way. And then I don't want to forget my label. 5, and this is centimeters. So that's 5 centimeters cubed, because volume is cubic units. As I did in example 1, how many cubes I could fit in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on to my last part of this video. Okay, finding the volume of word problems. Here we have a situation. Amanda and Mary each have a box of popcorn. How much more popcorn does the bigger box hold than the smaller box? Well, in order to answer this problem, the first thing I have to do is I have to figure out how much popcorn each container can hold. I'm going to use my formula, volume equals length times width times height for both of them. So for Amanda, I'm going to do 13.5 times 10 times 10. When I multiply that, I get a volume of 1,350 centimeters cubed. Do the same thing for Mary, so I'm going to do volume equals 20 times 8 times 8. And when I multiply that, I get 1,280 centimeters cubed. So that we can see that Amanda has a larger popcorn container, so don't be deceived by the picture, it's just a picture. But Amanda has a larger popcorn container. The question is not who has a larger popcorn container. In this case, it's how much more does that container hold. So to figure out how much more, I'm going to subtract the 2, 1,350 minus 1,280. And when I subtract those, I get 70. Don't forget my label, centimeters cubed. So Amanda's popcorn container can hold 70 centimeters cubed more popcorn than Mary's. Okay, so that is our quick video on finding the volume of rectangular prisms with fractional lengths. If you need to go watch anything again, go ahead. Otherwise, have a great night.